Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we are talking about a running back. That's right. We're starting off with TreVeyon Henderson, the very talented and explosive running back out of Ohio State. A guy I think is a perfect fit for the LA Rams and what they are currently lacking in the running back room. Before we dive into that, though, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. In addition to that, just want to remind you guys that I do have the lounge. So if you want to check out my Rams interviews, I did interview Cameron Curl as well as Ahkello Witherspoon and Bobby Brown. Be sure to check those out as well. All right. So TreVeyon Henderson, Ohio State running back, #1 running back recruit in the country out of high school. He started 4 seasons with the Ohio State Buckeyes, split some time with Quinshon Judkins, who was a transfer from Ole Miss. And you really saw a guy throughout his time in college that just really understood the big picture. He's a winner. He's a guy that wants to win. He wants to be a team player. And that's something that immediately stood out to me because this is an organization that doesn't think twice. As soon as they realize you don't fit, you're not a piece of the puzzle, you're gone. We've seen that for players that we like, players that we don't like. That's just the reality of it. And the Rams have had issues at this spot. They have had issues at running back. Since Todd Gurley, unfortunately, went down with the injury and it led to him eventually being released, didn't take long, but it still felt like a while for them to find their guy. And now that they have Kyren Williams, they have a 2-time 1,000-yard rusher, but what they don't have is a guy that can absolutely hit the home run ball. So you look at TreVeyon Henderson, a 5'10", 202-pound back who's going to be 23 in October. He finished college with 3,761 rushing yards, 42 rushing touchdowns, 77 receptions, 853 receiving yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns in 47 games and 37 starts. He had an elite PFF rushing grade. He had an elite gap rushing grade. Very good PFF zone rushing grade. Elite PFF yards after contact and elite PFF elusive rating. So what are the pros? What is he bringing to the table for any team that drafts him? TreVeyon Henderson is bringing a home run hitter, a slugger, if you will. Now, I hope you guys understand this. For those of you who don't follow baseball, you're going to have no idea what I'm talking about, but he does not hit singles. If you miss him, he's gone. It's a home run. He has the long speed to take it all the way. It is all over the film. He's got elite athletic ability, allows him to really not only carry long speed, but also has that lateral agility and the quickness that you love to see as a running back. He's dynamic. He can be utilized as a receiver. And I think he has a real ability to be a weapon in the passing game. So he's not just, you can throw dump offs to him. I think there's room to grow there. I really do. And I think it starts off with his natural hands ability, okay? You see a guy that has soft hands, only one drop throughout his college career. He can run routes better than most running backs in the class. And I think he has serious upside to have a comprehensive route tree developed in the NFL. I'm really excited to see if he does get drafted by the Rams. He'd be working with Ron Gould, who is a great running back coach for the Rams. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Rams to have this fit here. He's a we not me guy. We'll play all 3 downs. We'll play one of the 3 downs. Whatever you ask him to do, he's going to do. Never once complained, never once voiced displeasure, never once made it about himself when Quinshon Judkins came into his spotlight. He's considered a high character guy, quality guy around the program, has a lot of fans in that building and outside of it. And this is a guy just on the football field again, can finish runs, the right way. He's a battering ram after, the end of the run. He wants to let you know, just because he's fast, just because he might be a 1-speed guy does not mean that if you get in his way, he is not going to put his head down and lay the wood. He absolutely eliminates tackling angles because he is just nasty when he gets to the sideline. He's so fast and he's so explosive. It's really hard to bring a guy like that down and stick with him. He has another gear he can kick it into. Once he realizes it's a foot race to the end zone, he can kick it into that third gear that other players simply don't have. He hasn't fumbled in 3 years, which is a huge credit to obviously his ball security, but he's not just, running straight. He still makes guys miss. He still moves around. And despite that, he's able to hold on to the football while making some elusive moves and putting them on his defender. And again, only one drop in the receiving game for his career. This is a guy that the Rams would absolutely love to have because you have Kyren Williams who can do all the little things. He's great in the short area game. He is, great in pass pro. He is a great red zone guy. But the things that he struggles with, fumbling, not an issue with TreVeyon Henderson. Long speed, not an issue with TreVeyon Henderson, right? But the big thing here for TreVeyon Henderson is that he is an excellent pass protector. I mean, I was so impressed with his ability to protect the quarterback and his smarts, his game, his feel, his knowledge, the way he's able to pick up blitzes, actually pick up the right guy. Will Howard had the easiest job probably last year because he had guys like these guys. I mean, obviously, Jeremiah Smith and you got Ibuka and all these guys, but you're talking about having Judkins and then you have TreVeyon Henderson, a guy that can pick up the blitz. He can really just be a dominant pass protector. There are some reps where, okay, it gets a little bit past him, but for the most part, consistent down in and down out, snap in and snap out. This is a guy that I trust. And the big thing here is that Sean McVay, when he takes Kyren Williams off the field, he has to know, okay, we have a 37-year-old quarterback. I'm not trying to put him in harm's way here. I need to know if I put this running back in, he's going to be able to protect my quarterback, and TreVeyon Henderson can do that. Kind of a surprise, too, because you normally don't see those speed backs good at that. It's normally the guys that don't really have that speed that they carry, don't really have the explosiveness. He's got the burst, the speed. He's really got everything. He doesn't have a crazy amount of moves. He's not necessarily like LaShawn McCoy that can make guys crazy, miss in space and whatnot, but he can make a guy miss in space. He can have a one cut. He can finish, strong at the point of attack. And I really like watching his game. I think, the big thing to me is in the national title game where he has that slip screen out of the backfield. Will Howard's about to get crushed, dumps it off, and I think it was a 75-yard receiving touchdown. You see those really evident things on film that kind of lead you to believe this guy's going to work in the NFL. I've heard people call him the Jahmyr Gibbs of this draft. We'll get into the comp. Let's get into the cons, though. What does he not have? What is he lacking? I think that's important. The first thing is he does not have the best contact balance. That's something that I think Kyren Williams doesn't get enough credit for because he doesn't necessarily make guys miss in the second level in the way some of these other guys do, but he does have good contact balance. Because if he didn't have good contact balance, he wouldn't be as good as he is about getting back to the line of scrimmage. He wouldn't be as good as he is in those short yardage situations, finding the end zone. That's the thing. Contact balance does matter. It's not the end all be all, but it does matter. If I see you leave yards on the field, that's a little bit of an issue. And unfortunately, when you watch TreVeyon Henderson, he does leave some yards on the field because of that. I think his vision could be better. There are times where, he's definitely going to miss a hole here and there. And again, that's something where, vision does matter in this league. Now, is it bad? No. But you do see times where you're like, man, I really wish he would have hit that hole on film. He doesn't wield the ability to knife his way through a tight window in the trenches. What do I mean by that? Well, I think when you watch running backs, like guys like Steven Jackson, if they got caught up in the trenches, obviously you knew that strength, that play strength, more importantly, play strength, not just strength, but the ability to play at that level of strength. He was able to stay on his feet, knife his way for extra yards, guys like that. He's not one of those guys. He will run into the back of, his offensive lineman here and there, but he's not going to knife his way through a really tight hole. It's not going to happen. So that's the thing, those tight windows in the trenches when it becomes really tough. This is not my short yardage back. That is the important thing to understand. You bring in TreVeyon Henderson, he is not your short yardage back. He is really good as a guy that I think can complement. Not saying that he could never be a bell cow, But I think right now the best thing for him is to be in a situation like what the Rams would provide. He bounces his runs out to the sideline a little more than that I would like. So that is something that I've noticed and something that I wrote down as a con of mine. I don't love to see that. I think he does leave a little bit of meat on the bone. I mean, okay, you did have a hole there, and yes, you did have a 20-yard burst, hitting that sideline, but I'd like to see you hit that hole. That was there. Good, job by the blocker, and you don't really make him pay off for that. You instead go around so I see that, and I don't love that personally, but you can live with that. The foot injuries in 2022 and 2023, I think are going to have some teams worried. I think this is easily combated by keeping his workload intact, which I think they really did a nice job of with Judkins this past year. And, I think that durability, like I just mentioned, puts his full-time starter title, a potential title, in question. He was never a full-time starter. He did split time. I don't want to say never, but he did split time with Quinshon Judkins, like I mentioned. Both were really good 1-2 punch. But I feel like in the NFL, his best thing is getting into a situation like a Jahmyr Gibbs. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, you got David Montgomery. Regardless of what people think about David Montgomery, he just signed, another 3-year deal? So he's going to be around for a while. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, complements him well, and I think Montgomery complements Gibbs well. Well, I think in a different way, this would be the perfect complement for Kyren. You're not getting a, battering ram guy that's just going to be knocking guys over, and he doesn't break a ton of tackles. But this is somebody that, is giving you a level of explosion in your offense injected that you don't have. So I think this is a really important thing there. That burst, he's already, when he gets to the second level, he's already got, he's in that second gear, almost kicking it into third gear. That's just not something currently on the roster. Now, I understand some people ask, where does that leave Blake Corum? Well, Blake Corum can be on this roster. I have no issue with that. And I still think he's a good football player, and he has some room to grow. So it's not that Blake Corum can't be on this roster, but I think they need this, and I think they needed it last year. I said this over and over again. It's why I really like Trey Benson as kind of that, I get a power guy, but I also get a guy that runs in the 4-3, 4-4 category. So, and again, I hate bringing that up because I don't really care about your 40 time. I care about your play speed, what I see on tape. TreVeyon Henderson ran a 4.43, I believe, and he plays faster, in my opinion. I think he runs like a 4.38, I would say, on tape. That he looks like he has 4.3 speed. I would say that when he gets going, that he's really hard to catch up to. So, comparison. Where are we on TreVeyon Henderson? Who does he remind me of? Well, he reminds me of two guys. I know I keep cheating. First one, Tevin Coleman, right away. Okay, understand. He grew 2 inches when he came to the NFL. Then all of a sudden he's 6'1". He was 5'11" when he came into the combine. Okay, 206. Currently, this is a 5'10" running back at 202. He has almost identical running style to TreVeyon Henderson. Almost identical, in my opinion. When I watch him at Indiana in college, Tevin Coleman, they're very similar. Okay, and I loved Coleman coming out of the draft. I remember that, but that's neither here nor there. Almost identical. The other guy that I would say, I think it's his upside, right, is James Cook. A guy that was kind of looked at as, okay, he's a receiver, receiving back, never really going to be a bell cow, kind of like having those questions right now about TreVeyon Henderson. And he's emerged as one of the better running backs in football. I think he's one of the more underrated running backs. And I think his upside is that. I think he's very similar to Cook. Cook has a little bit more power, I would say. But I think they're very similar. I think Tevin Coleman had way more power in his legs. But that started to really come about when he got in the NFL and over the course of time. But Tevin Coleman coming out of Indiana is, in my opinion, the best comparison you could make for TreVeyon Henderson. You got that breakaway speed. You got that explosion. You have that ability to make guys miss, eat angles, work in the passing game. I think the one thing here, though, is, and he does remind me a little bit of Darren McFadden, too, if you remember him out of Arkansas, was drafted in the top 5 by the Raiders. he has kind of the similar running style as a Darren McFadden, Tevin Coleman, identical to Tevin Coleman, and kind of exhibits the same type of skill set as, a James Cook. But none of those three players have what I'm looking for in pass pro. And the best comparison I could give you, I'm not saying he's as good, because honestly, this guy had the best pass protecting film I have seen. Honestly, this guy had the best pass protecting film I have seen in quite some time. Kyren Williams. Yes, that's his comparison in pass pro. You see a guy that mirrors well. He frames well. He's smart. He's quick to read the blitz. He picks it up, but you don't see him get knocked back. And you know what's really funny to me is, you'll have people on social media, same thing. They did this with Kyren. They say he's not big enough. He's not big enough for pass protection. That's not a thing. You realize that's not a thing, right? Maybe the best pass protector ever, Marshall Faulk, was 5'10" and 208 pounds, 210. He wasn't the biggest running back ever, and he wasn't the tallest. It's about technique. It's about understanding leverage. It's about understanding the game, having feel, having IQ. Guess what? TreVeyon Henderson can do it, man. He takes on some big, I mean it. He takes on some big contact, absorbs it, and never once really puts, Will Howard in a bad position on film. I absolutely love this guy's game. I think he is a great fit for the Rams. Those comparisons, those are some big names. Coleman ended up being a 1,000-yard rusher at one point. Darren McFadden, like I said, drafted really high. And James Cook, he's becoming quickly one of the best running backs in football. Like I mentioned, I think he could be that. And for those of you that, feel like he won't be a bell cow, I think it could be in his future. Because like I mentioned with Tevin Coleman, who gained 2 inches, who added more muscle, who ran a different way when he got in the NFL, there's nothing, and I mean nothing, stopping TreVeyon Henderson from doing that. He can add more mass. Talk about maybe 10 more pounds of muscle. So now, let's say he's 212. He can do that. He can break more tackles. He can be stronger. There are ways. When you already have this athletic ability and you have the work ethic and you are a we not me guy like this guy is, sky's the limit. He can absolutely be a bell cow if they decide not to bring back Kyren. I do lean towards them bringing him back and signing him long term, but we'll see. I do think the Lions have the right idea, whether it's the sexy approach or not. Not everybody has a Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry. And if you don't, then you should have a Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery tandem. This isn't anything new. This happened before. Great example. I always thought they worked really well in unison. Carolina did this twice, right? Carolina had Steven Davis and Deshaun Foster. I thought they both complemented each other very well. Foster was the speed back. Steven Davis had some speed, but he was huge. Obviously, former Ram there. But then you also, later on with the Panthers, they had Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. And Stewart was more of a straight-ahead runner, and when you watch D'Angelo Williams, he was more of a guy that can make you miss and ran with some power. So, yes, the two-back thing, finding guys that play off each other like thunder and lightning, it works. And I think, truthfully, the Rams meant to do this, and they were hoping in some capacity that would be Zach Stacy and Trey Mason. And unfortunately, that did not work out for either of them. So that's kind of how I see it. Who knows? Maybe that's what they wanted with Cam Akers and Kyren Williams. We'll never know. But I do think that this is the best course of action. Yeah, you could argue his teammate, Quinshon Judkins, adds more power to the mix. But he doesn't have the explosiveness that you're getting out of his teammate, TreVeyon Henderson. And that is the thing. You got to add something. What are you missing? This is not trunk candidate. Understand this, because I know some Rams fans are saying, oh boy, we have our running back, and now you want to go out and you want to draft another running back, and you want to draft it high. Last time they did that was trunk candidate. Well, you'd be wrong, because the last time they did that, Zach Stacy coming off almost 1,000-yard season and Trey Mason, they drafted another running back in Todd Gurley. That worked out pretty well until it didn't. But I think TreVeyon Henderson makes a lot of sense. This is a really, really, really deep running back class. So I think there's a chance that they could get him in round 2 via a trade down, or even round 3. I'll believe it when I see it on round 3, but I do think he's going to fall out of the first. I wouldn't even be against picking him at 26 if they deem him as a guy that could take their offense to the next level. That to me is what it's all about. That's my big thing here. So I think he's the best running back fit for the Rams. He's got experience splitting time in college. He's we not me. Like, literally everything about him fits the Rams in that regard. He's a winner. The Rams have recently really been looking at Georgia as a program. They've looked at Ohio State. These are teams that have won national titles. They have not been shy from drafting those said players. And, you know, he offers explosiveness that the Rams don't have, receiving potential the Rams don't have, pass protection behind Kyren that the Rams don't have. He's a winner. He's a leader. He's well liked. And he makes the Rams better the second that they turn in that draft card. You can use, and I know I'm never going to get my way on this, but the last thing I'll say, you could use TreVeyon Henderson and Kyren Williams on the field at the same time. Yes, the split back formation, I understand, has never been utilized, and I've been clamoring for it since I became a content creator, but they don't have to use the split back formation. What they could do is use TreVeyon Henderson in the slot if they want to have him on the field at the same time as Kyren. I'm just saying. And I think it goes a long way. When a running back has this and that's great. But when I see a guy that makes it his mission to dominate in pass pro, sign me up for that guy. Tells me that his focus is on the right things. And a lot of the time, these running backs, teams will draft the guy that has the fastest 40 or the best 10-yard split or has the best moves, the best receiving ability, and then they'll just use the off season. They'll have the whole off season will be, hey, learn pass protection. And some of these guys do, and some of these guys don't. And I think the fact that he already has that pass protection down and how he's going to hone it at the next level, he is going to be so damn important. And I think that this is a guy the Rams will definitely be looking at. So that's TreVeyon Henderson for you. Let me know what you guys think below. I absolutely love this prospect. Easily one of my favorites in the class. I think he's everything the Rams are looking for. Like I said, there are some cons. There's some cons on everybody. These are prospects. These are not perfect players. And those are just what they need to work on. Doesn't mean that these issues are going to plague them their whole career. Doesn't mean that they can't have a 100-yard game. Doesn't mean that they can't score touchdowns in the NFL. Always remember that cons are just telling you what they need to work on the most. Cons are just telling you what they lack the most. It does not necessarily mean that they can't work in the NFL. If anyone tells you that, they're wrong. So that is that. I hope you guys enjoyed. The next video, I don't even know what it's going to be. I already forgot the next player. I think it's Loveland. I think it's Loveland or Jackson Dart. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe button. Let me know in the comments section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. All right, guys. So once again, just want to let you guys know that you can check out my new side project, The Lounge. I interview athletes, musicians, actors, actresses, all the nine. So definitely check it out over on the Lounge with Jake Ellenbogen channel. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel. And if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.